You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. We are so happy to have you here. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show. It's the only one that matters. There's no reason to go anywhere else to get the content that we are delivering to you today. My name is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I am your host, executive producer, director, and broadcast engineer. And by the way, this show is now booked out until the third week of December. And you know why that is? It's because of this man right here. It's because of Mr. Cini.
Well,
he is the reason why people come here.
I need my own intro music, for God's sakes. It's so much fun to be here, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. And you know, listen, I'm very excited about our guest today. A wonderful example of some of the great guests that we're so fortunate to get every week. His name is Yermi Kurkus, which means he has a great name. But even better than the name, I love the name. But even better than his name is he's not a coach and he's not a consultant. He's a business partner who specializes in helping you turn your business into an irresistible entity so that you can close irresistible deals. And if there's anybody out there watching or listening who doesn't think that's important, I feel sorry for them. They've got to hang around for this.
Absolutely. He's a great guy. I think I met him through Lunch Club. I want to ask him. I think it was Lunch Club. He's shaking. Yes. So another great person from Lunch Club. I haven't been on there in a long time. Have you?
I haven't. I just haven't had the time, which is a shame because you really do meet great people through that. And you know, honestly, they should be a paid advertiser because we have to get somebody from Lunch Club on the business show. Lunchclub.com, I think it is, isn't it?
I think so. Yes.
And it's a great way to meet people in your area or anywhere in the world in your business. And you never know where those things will lead. And sometimes they lead to terrific interviews like the one today.
Yeah, and I want to thank Yermi because I think we met months ago. I don't even remember how long ago it was, but he signed up, he booked, and he's here today backstage. So before we bring him out,
our lead time for guests is probably going to have to be left to the children of some of the guests who are trying to get on this show.
That we are very blessed in that regard.
We are. I feel really fortunate.
We are definitely. So it's nice to see you again. We had the show this morning, Celebrate Great Britain, Royally Rich, and two phenomenal guests. It was fun. And now we have the business show. So speaking of business, I'm going to highlight you because I always love to hear what you're up to. So tell us all about the Brand and Cultural Alignment Toolkit and what Cini is doing.
Cool. Well, thank you. Let's see. What am I doing? I'm actually getting pretty busy these days, which is happy news. We have a process called the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit. It proceeds in 3 steps. The first step is to work with the people in your business to find out the role model that they believe represents their collective best self on their best day at work. Then we work with all of them and the leadership team to refine that and really identify who we are as a company when we're doing our best work on our best day. But for me, and we're doing a lot of it these days, the third step is, what would Jesus do, except it's not Jesus? This role model who represents the best of us when we're doing our best work on our best day, if that role model were a person walking in the world that we could get to know, what would we learn from that person? What comes out of that process? What we call them aligned inspirations. They're guidelines that people follow to become better versions of themselves. But our clients are calling them the commandments. And in fact, they're working really hard to try to nail them down. Everybody wants 10 commandments. And sometimes we have 12, sometimes we only have 3 or 4. But that's what we hang up on the wall at a company instead of values. The things we do that make us who we are more important than the platitudes we issue and the things we say. And that's something I'm saying a lot about these days. There's an awful lot of culture talk out there. Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit is culture do. Culture is something you do, not just something you talk about. So thank you for that soliloquy.
Thank you.
The opportunity.
And let us not forget that you have your own TV shows. You want to share a little bit about that?
I do. Well, if you're talking about CEO Chat on RVN Television, that's
Yes.
10:30 on Fridays. And I also host a program called Morning Coffee, which is about nothing in particular. It's kind of like a Seinfeld type talk show. Never know what's going to come up. And we do that at 9 o'clock in the morning.
What kind of guests are you looking for at CEO Chat, pray tell?
CEO Chat, guests like Yermi. And, and people out there who are making a difference in the business world. They're always fun to talk to. So it could, in fact, it could be anybody who could be a candidate for A Better You program. People who are out there who are coaches, trusted advisors, specialists in particular areas that have lessons to offer. We love to talk to people like that, as I know you do too, Doc.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about giving people a place to share their voice so we can learn about new things that we don't know and help support each other in our businesses.
That's what you do for a living. How many hours a day now? 65, 66 hours a day?
I feel like it today. I feel like I've been working like 100 hours this week. You know what it is, Al? It's the production part of it that is exhausting. It's all the tiny little details that go into all the shows.
Tiny little details. Yes, those tiny little details. I know.
And you know from your own work in this area that it's a lot of dealing with people too, and people need answers. How do I do this? How do I find the link? Where do I find the show? So it's all good, but it does take a toll.
It's a lot of that, and whenever you get to know anything really well, you tend to feel like everybody else must know it too, but they don't.
Right.
So you'll hear a lot of the same questions over and over again. That's just the nature of it. Everybody's starting from scratch, especially with what you do. So good for you. Keep it up.
Thank you. Good for you as well. What do you say we bring our guest out?
Yermi, let's get him out.
Yes. Come on out, Yermi. Come on. Woo!
Hey there.
Hello. Yermi Kurkus. We had a few minutes to catch up before the program. Yermi is joining us. Was born in Canada. Ran away from Canada to go to Los Angeles, which is interesting, and then was in LA for a while, and now you're in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah,
because of COVID, I think.
Just outside of Asheville. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's Asheville's a beautiful town, so it's. However you got here, we're glad you're here, and so let's start with this. What I have a business. I want it to be irresistible, but before you tell me how you do it, tell me what I'll see when it is. When my business becomes irresistible, what happens?
Right. Are you asking in terms of time frame, or what are you seeing as a result?
I want to be irresistible today, Yermi. I don't want to wait. I want an instant irresistibility. But I mean, just tell me if I accomplish if we work together, you're a business partner. If you were my business partner and we were working on making my business irresistible, what would the outcome look like? What would that feel like to me?
Right. So yeah, I mean, the outcome is really interesting, and it's kind of like goofy or weird to say, but it's just like people are knocking on your door all day long, and just they want to have something to do with you. And it's actually simple. I mean, somebody who's irresistible is just that, irresistible, and everybody wants to be around that quote unquote irresistible person. And that's why, like, the moment I heard someone associate the kind of work that I do to irresistibility, and I was like, that's the perfect word. That's exactly, if I was to define everything I do, it's literally that one word, irresistible. So the outcome is definitely people coming to you and just wanting to do business with you. It's fun to do business with you. It's exciting to do business with you, that kind of stuff. People want to work for you. It's across the board. It's across the board that you are irresistible, your team are irresistible, your business is irresistible. Everything is just irresistible. So that's what comes out of it.
That's quite a promise to make. And, I'll just add one more thing. I know Dr. Jacalyn, who is building irresistibility herself.
Well, you're already irresistible, Al. So
working on that daily. She's doing that daily and getting there, definitely. There are people out there who are saying, I can't find people to work here. I can't keep people here. They want to leave. And I make a million calls and I get one hit. Nobody wants to buy from me. I have to hammer at them all the time. My sales cycle is 2 years long. Then you get somebody at Apple who's laughing up their sleeve because they don't have that problem. or go, and that's irresistibility. Irresistibility is what those companies have that you don't, but you could get it. There's a process, and so how do I become irresistible, Yermi? How do I do that?
That's an excellent question, and that's the question that I was asking myself all my life. And I said, I grew up in a family that everybody's entrepreneurs. Everybody are, business professionals. In fact, they look down upon those who go get educated. However, I said, I have a question about why are there so many businesses that fail and they don't make it in life. I had a company where I had close to 20 employees at some point, but it was forced to shut down, and it failed ultimately. So what can I do to learn better? There's all these other companies, Virgin, Apple, these larger companies. How did they do it? What made them so incredibly successful? So I went and I took about a decade of my life to dedicate to learning how to create a good, sustainable, business. So that led me to the prison program. I was working in the prison for a little while. I went to school for psychology to just understand, how people operate. And that's when I came across finding three particular things. People like to be happy. People just want to be happy, the pursuit of happiness. So other people who see people that are happy right away connect with them. They just draw them. And then it's the good attitude and the good character. So happiness, attitude, and character make up an irresistible person, team, business, etc.
Oh, well, listen, you said you were in a prison program. I just want to say it's like the Monopoly board. You were just visiting, right? You weren't actually in. Okay.
I was not arrested. No, I was not incarcerated.
I just want to clarify for people.
What was that like to be in a prison environment and help other people? I mean, is there a fear aspect at all?
Yeah, in the very beginning, there's fear there, but I went there to really learn purpose and meaning. That's what I did. So, for example, you see a lot of business professionals. One of the reasons they fail that I've observed or that I assumed at the time was just that they don't have a purpose or a meaning in what they're doing. So you hear a lot. Al started explaining it. There's these missions and these vision. But people don't really know what that really means. What does it mean to have a mission and a vision? I speak to people all day long and they look at me deer in the headlights. So I asked myself, when I went to study psychology, I asked my teachers, I said, do you mind if I do my own research? I want to go to the people who are at the lowest of the lowest of the low. You don't get anything lower than people in prison. That's like one step before, the graveyard. So I asked if I could figure out what brings meaning and purpose to the people who are at the very, very lowest. I most likely will be able to transfer those skills or those findings elsewhere to other people, to business professionals, whoever it is. So that's what kind of led me to work in the prison system.
I'm loving every bit of this conversation, Yermi. I mean, there isn't. I want to repeat those three elements that you said make the difference. People need to feel they're seeking happiness. Mm-hmm. They resonate with positive attitudes. And what was the third thing?
Mm-hmm. And character, good character.
Good character. So they want to be respectable. Yeah. They want to be somebody who stands for something.
Absolutely. People will not respect somebody if he's not respectable, right? So if somebody acts in an irrespectable way, people will just simply not respect them and not appreciate them. People remember how you make them feel rather than what you tell them or what you do with them or whatever. So these are very important aspects to keep in mind.
Okay. So these typical business bullshit exercise. I'm sorry, I could say that word on USA Global TV, but the typical bullshit exercise at a business is what are our values? And then people go around the room and they say what their values are. You hear honesty, you hear integrity. People write that stuff down and then they embroider it on a pillow or on a tapestry, and then they hang it in a frame and they hang it on the wall in the conference room. And that happened a couple of years ago, and today it has 3 inches of dust on it. That's not what you're talking about. That's not meaning. That's not, you want to go deeper than that, don't you? Hear me?
So
I think you're.
yeah, I'm
Oh.
here.
Okay.
No. Okay. So
Did
actually,
you hear that?
there is an element to that, but yeah, I totally heard your question. There is an element to these core values. These, part of the practice that I work in. We do talk about core values. We do talk about all these things. However, I love what you said. What I do is that I add one more element of accountability. So this that you say that you are, I don't know, honest, let's say honest and transparent, but are you really? And this that you
What is
say
it you're
that,
doing that demonstrates that
yeah,
you're honest? Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely, and that's
got
all
it.
part of that, happiness, attitude, and character. Um, those who are truly happy are truly happy. You will know immediately right off the bat, if somebody's faking a smile or giving you an authentic smile.
Mhm.
So it is important to have the vision and the mission and the core values, and they should be plastered all over the place. But you should also be held accountable to practice what you preach. Ultimately,
I
Right.
agree. You know what else I think also, um, even if you look at what I'm doing today, it's not just how you act during the interview; it's how you act before the interview, backstage. It's how you act leading up to it. It's how you act afterwards. And in the corporate workplace, it's not just how you show up in a meeting or how you get on stage and talk to an audience. It's how are you living your life and how are you treating people every day.
right?
What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm actually going to demonstrate that with a story.
Okay.
So I was looking into a prospect, and we were observing their operations, what they do. Now they promise this incredible customer service. Everything is great. You read up on them. They're very proud of their customer service, and throughout the entire process of them working with their clients, they keep repeating. By the way, you're going to leave us a 5-star review on Google, because anything under 5-star to us is a failure. So I found that like interesting, and they do make the customer feel very good throughout the process and everything. But it was at the end of the business deal that we were observing that they just killed it. They ruined the entire experience, and the customer walks away devastated. And I was actually surprised, and I said, "Wait a second, like, are they really expecting a good review? And what does this review really mean, in the long term?" And so through research and through introspection, through talking to previous clients, we found that they're working for the good comment because they believe that the good comment is going to bring them more business. And ultimately, money is the bottom line of this entire purpose
Sure.
of why they're giving good service, which is completely not what customer service is all about. So that's an example of not really practicing what you preach in that sense.
That's a great story, Yermi, and it's reminding me of an experience I had when I was a trainer, a corporate trainer. We would teach a course. At the end of the course, we'd hand out student opinion forms because it was required. It was a one sheet of paper with questions on it. Do you like the teacher? Is the room comfortable? That kind of stuff. And what I remember most about it was many of the instructors would hand out the form and then tell everybody pretty much how to answer the questions, because they knew that their evaluations were based on those responses. And none of the students in the class ever appreciated that experience. They always felt like they were lying. But the stupidity is on both ends. It's stupid to do that, but it's also stupid for corporations to believe what they get back from that process.
Exactly.
You
Right.
go there and you see a 5-star review on Yelp, and you're hoping your other prospects are going to see that and fall for it. It's a lie. So all you're doing is asking
Right.
people to go out online and lie on your behalf. And, that is not exactly meaning. That's not exactly purpose. That's not exactly mission. That's just crap.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, that's a very good
Al, I
point.
love how you call it the way it is. I just love how you call it going through.
Listen, I've been up and down and over and out, man. I'm like a tea bag. I've been everywhere, and I've seen all this stuff done. So, geez.
You're right. No, you're right. It's very sobering to hear that. I appreciate it.
Well, it's nice to have you on the program for exactly the reason that you're here. It's a reality check for everybody, and that genuine service, not just lip service. Everybody stops short of that. They just go up to the next to the last rung and they stop climbing. And that last rung is where irresistible happens. You got to learn to take that last step.
Yeah, you're basically demystifying irresistibility. Say that a couple of times.
Yeah, I know. That's something we're going to have to work on. But yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's excellence, really, when you think about it. It's not mediocrity relabeled as excellence. It's actual excellence.
Cool.
And on that note, we're going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors, but stay with us. We have a lot more of Yermi left.
Let's come back fast.
Yermi. Who's Yermi? Is Yermi here?
Yermi's great.
Yermi's here. Okay, here we go.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
The world of healthcare is benefiting us in many ways, but the risk of becoming a victim to an airborne infection is increasing at a fast pace too. There are threats from viruses, allergic pollen, and chemicals which cause you loss of health, income, business, mental health, family and friends. All are at stake. One solution to this threat are the BV Air Sanitation Placide-based systems. When you call our team on 0208 104 3253, you find out about the amazing protection available. Protection that uses certified Battlefield, tested, standard and customized air disinfection systems for your personal and business use. Each system uses a filterless technology known as Placide, which attacks all airborne particles with microlighting to destroy and eliminate viruses and other harmful particles in your office, transport and home. You also benefit from extra bonuses such as low running and maintenance costs, no regular filter and part changes. You get to work with our trained experts and professional staff and be made aware of the latest in airborne protection and disinfection strategy. Keep yourself healthy by working with our trained experts and Placide virus killing systems, which keep you safe from airborne viruses. BV Air Sanitation Limited. We save lives, save businesses, and prevent infection. Schedule your free consultancy call and virus protection checklist. Call 0208 104 3253 or connect to us on www.bvbuster.com.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at dianefloydbame.com. Visit dianefloydboehm.com. That's dianefloydbame.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back. You are watching Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show with my co-host, entrepreneur, and painter, it turns out, Mr. Al Cini, and our guest, Yermi Kurkus, who is the founder of One Up. And he is not a coach. He's not a consultant. Please do not be confused by that. He helps make businesses irresistible. And in our first segment, we were just getting to explore that irresistibility. And I think I'd love to talk about the program that you have, the One Up.
Sure. Yeah. So One Up is actually the second part of the being irresistible. The first part is the Work of Happiness, which is a 10-day course, and recently it's actually a one-day workshop for certain businesses if they're interested. So first we have to be happy, and if we are happy, then we are able to start working on our attitude and our character. So that's why we put the Work of Happiness before the One Up portion, which the One Up portion is a 90-day program that helps us evaluate our attitude and character, and it invites us to explore changes. That's ultimately what One Up is about.
And you know, you mentioned too before the program in a quick conversation we had that because you're not a coach, you're not a consultant, you have skin in the game. You refer to yourself as a business partner, and I'd like you to put some meat on those bones. From a client's point of view, what does that mean when you become their business partner?
Sure, exactly. So there's actually a journey that we go on. You see, what I did not like about coaching and consulting when I was researching and considering to become a coach/consultant, it seemed to me that a coach or a consultant has this monthly fee situation. You're paying all this money, and what's happening? You know, what risk, let's say, does the coach or consultant have in the game? Another thing I've noticed is that they kind of seem to tell us what to do or explore or whatever they like to call it. But ultimately, how does that really translate into the business? So for me, I see what I was missing in my life, in my business, was I didn't have somebody who could really hold my hand through the bad, through the good, through the everything, really like a business partner, if you will, and who really had skin in the game. So when I created this business, I thought to myself, what is the journey that needs to be taken to become successful? We only work with people who are, hardworking, who do want to be that exceptional business. I want to work with people who are sustainable. And typically my relationship with them is limited. So there's specific time frames for specific goals that we want to reach. If they want to renew and they want to take on a new goal, so that's also time specific. But let's say an average journey is anywhere around 12 to 18 months to become that irresistible, business professional.
That's great. And what does that work like? I mean, is it all, I'm thinking about what it's like. Is it all like homework and heads down? And what is that year and a half like? Okay,
yeah. So for the first 100 days, it is pretty much the coaching, consulting, let's call it, component of what we're doing. But then afterwards, it's really, actual work and actual doing. So it takes about 100 days. So 10 days for the happiness stuff, and then 90 days for the one-up attitude and character change. And the reason why that's 90 days is that that's rooted in neuroscience. According to neuroscience, it actually is proven. There's studies that prove that synapses that we have in our brain, they get realigned, and it takes about 90 days or so for that to actually take an effect. So that's why we created this program, to create new habits, if you will. So that's the 100 days of the coaching / consulting / training. But after that, we say, okay, now how do we actually apply everything that we've learned or everything that we've done, put it into practice, into the business? So this could include, business strategy, getting involved in deals. I have a large network of professionals that I work with. I connect these networks amongst each other. We just think outside the box, think very epic, think very big. I often tell people in a deal, instead of looking at things with your eyes, look with your mind. Where could this deal go? How large of a deal can you perform? An example to that is that I managed to put together a furniture company with a car dealership, and they're right now involved in a deal together. Often people will ask, what does a furniture company have anything to do with a car dealership? But yeah, it's a bunch of people who I figured could go into this overall deal, which will include a furniture company and a car dealership and an insurance company and a bunch of other professionals, and it's a really cool deal. So that's the kind of journey, what that journey looks like.
You mentioned neuroscience, and we're talking a lot about that these days. I know people that are studying it, and I'm really glad that neuroscientists are saying to our customers now what we've been trying to tell them for decades. It will take time. You can't become better just by taking out a can of paint and painting yourself a new color.
Right.
You've got to rewire the way you think. The way you think right now, the reason why you're not irresistible is that you're only looking at what you can see in the headlights. That's all. You're looking just at that. Until you train your peripheral vision, until you train your senses to see what's all around you, you can't become irresistible, and that process will take time. So I think the work you're doing is great. Good for you.
I just want to add one more thing to that, because it's extremely important what you're saying. I tell people the bad news. I tell them the bad news first is that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to become irresistible, and you're not going to get the door ringing, all day long. Your phone is not going to be ringing off the hook today or tomorrow. That's the bad news. But the good news is that it's only 100 days away. It's only 3 months, if you really think about it. It's just over 3.5 months. That's all it is.
If you'd started 99 days ago, you'd be getting.
You'd already be.
Exactly. So I often tell people, a lot of people they're telling me, wow, you're like an overnight success. I only started this business about a year ago now. So they're telling me I'm an overnight success. I said, no, buddy, this overnight success took me 20 years to achieve, I'm
trying to think of somebody who actually is an overnight success. I mean, it takes time. It really does. And then all of a sudden when it happens, it's because of that realization that meaning matters. Absolutely. That your purpose in life matters. And when those things take front and center, then all of a sudden you're positioned for it. It might still take time, but at least it can happen now. Yeah. So I think
one thing I'd like to interject is that it's quite possible that a business was irresistible and then the pandemic hit and then things happened. And so you have to reevaluate what you're doing. So I think it's a continuous learning and process and continuous investing in the business, right? Just because you're irresistible one day doesn't mean if you don't do the right things, you're going to continue to be.
Yeah. And I just had this conversation literally last week. I get a lot about, I don't want to just hone in onto one company, but it is a case study that I'm actually working on right now. Let's say Amazon has been getting a lot of heat lately in the news and all what's going on. And to me, that's surprising. I mean, this was a small little e-commerce website, started off with books, landed to become this huge mammoth, international company, and all of a sudden they're in the heat for some pretty negative stuff. What happened? Where did it change? Where did something fall apart, if you will? So exactly what you're saying, Dr. Jacalyn. It's about not forgetting, where we start, and it's a consistent everyday learning. It's very, very easy to fall off that bandwagon and just get used to, business or whatever it is. But it's this consistent learning. We have to keep reminding ourselves to be irresistible every day. It takes energy to smile all the time. It takes energy to always think positive. It takes energy to avoid negativity and only try to focus on positivity. Maybe it's not the coolest thing, but guess what? People love talking to you because you're just this great person to just hang out with. And the reason why you are booked all the way to December, I know because I was super excited and waiting forward to meeting you again, It makes sense. You're irresistible. People want to be around you. It's plain and simple.
Did you hear that, Mom? Did you hear that? No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, if you want a second opinion, ask Mom.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. One thing I just want to mention is in reference to the pandemic. So, Al, I don't go out that much, but I have gone out to dinner a couple of times. And the reason I bring this up is that small businesses have really been battered in a lot of ways, especially the restaurant industry. And so where I'm going with this is I think that as a business owner, you have to accept the fact, yes, you lost a lot of money. You're not where you used to be, but you have to still show up in an irresistible way, right? You don't just serve food and have music playing. And I found that the different places I've gone, that it's almost like they're operating out of position of desperation instead of
crummy.
Yeah, exactly.
Crummy. I mean, I hate to say it. You just brought up a memory. It's okay, maybe you can blame COVID for some of that, but the seeds of that kind of self-destruction were always there. COVID just surfaced them.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm liking what Yermi is saying is that, we often say this, if you think that 2021 is about getting back to 2019, then you didn't learn a damn thing in 2020.
That's right.
COVID was the lesson of COVID is that you must have purpose in your business. People are now very sensitive to the feeling that they're purposefully engaged in work that's meaningful. And all COVID did was wake everybody up. We were running on autopilot for decades, hating what we do, and we're not putting up with it anymore. So without Yermi, you're in big trouble. And I also want to make the point, this is not a DIY kind of a thing, because you need somebody on the outside to help you work through, a business partner to help you work through a lot of these exercises, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. And I was partnering up with, this is all tying into everything you guys were just saying. It's so true. I've seen businesses that are losing their employees left, right, and center. They cannot hire, they don't find anybody to work or whatever. And a lot of them are saying, "Oh, wow, they're not taking the job because it's better to be on unemployment. Unemployment is paying more." So I said, "You're probably. If that was true, then you're obviously looking in the wrong pool of fish. You don't want the people who want to sit on the couch watching Netflix all day long. But for those who really want to work, there's a purpose why. There's a reason why they're not wanting to work for you. How many people do you know? There's a Gallup study that says 70% of employees are just not performing at work. They're not engaged at work. They're not working. They're not happy. And the question is why? And then why are 90% of employers not happy with the performance levels of their employees? The question is why? And ultimately, I tell people you're wasting money with your benefits. All these benefits that you're throwing at your employees, you're wasting money. There's a study by Intel that actually proves that you're wasting money. I said, I'll save you money with a simple solution that you don't even have to pay your employees more, but you simply have to empower them. You have to give them purpose. You have to give them meaning, and you have to act in an irresistible way, which means be happy, be a good attitude, be a good character. Don't expect the moon from your employees, Expect what they're going to bring to the table. If they're in marketing, that's what they are doing. They're doing marketing. Don't expect from them to turn the world upside. I don't know what people are even thinking, but it's really important to, and you're right, COVID is the one who really woke everybody up. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you're going to treat me wrong, I could go into my isolation. I did it for 12 months. And I don't need to see anybody if I don't have to. If I'm going to see you, I want to spend time with you. And I really want to appreciate spending time with you. And we want to make each other feel good. That's ultimately what it is.
Before COVID, Yermi, you would just sound crazy. You're a crazy guy. So the question is Yermi crazy enough? Because what you're saying, as crazy as it sounds, reinforces all the research. Happiness isn't a cause. Happiness is an effect. Mm-hmm. People become happy when they're committed to the work they do and enjoy the work they do and feel as though it has meaning. That's what makes them happy. You don't throw money at people to make them happy and then hope that makes them productive. That's the wrong way to look at it. And you're so right telling people not to waste money on rewards and incentives, because Dr. Jacalyn will tell you this. You were in the rewards and incentives business. Give people a bonus without a long-term program of recognition that ties that bonus to the actual work they do, and you have wasted your money. We're just as crazy as you, Yermi.
Yeah.
Three crazy people. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because we have been in isolation and we have come out of it, and we are, I don't need to go spend money at a restaurant because I've been eating at home for a year and a half, right? Mm-hmm. I don't need to go somewhere where I'm not treated right. I don't need to leave my environment to be confronted by business owners or be in an environment with workers who are not happy, and it comes across, right? So being irresistible in your business is a top 10 priority.
Sure.
Yeah. We are going to take a break and hear from a couple of our sponsors, and we'll be right back. So stay with us here on the Business Talk Show. Yay.
Yeah.
Located at 121 Haddon Avenue in Westmont, New Jersey, is Margie Cedrone, artisan jeweler. Margie's been in business for more than 30 years. She works with her clients to create custom pieces of jewelry to reflect their personality and help them make their own bold statement. Starting in the renowned Jewelers Row in Center City, Philadelphia in 1988, Margie works directly with her clients to develop one-of-a-kind pieces such as necklaces, engagement rings, wedding bands, unique watches and tennis bracelets, as well as a myriad of rings and earrings for everyone in your family. She also has worked directly with Dr. Jacalyn over the years, creating unique pieces of jewelry to reflect her personality. She does pearl stringing and repairs on site at 121 Haddon Avenue. Call or text Margie at 215-384-7155. Margie Cedrone Jewelry is open by appointment only. Make your own bold statement.
Networking sucks and people suck at it, but nothing gives me more life than walking around and talking to people in an audience and really being able to identify, okay, I see where you're having trouble, let's work on fixing it. How do you help them? How do you provide value? My goal is to give them those tools to be able to go out and tackle that fear. Anywhere there's coffee is where I'll be. So I bring candy a lot to my speaking engagements. Like, of course that makes sense. I'm a little unconventional.
Ashley was very knowledgeable.
Very entertaining.
I learned a few new things, and to me that's the key.
What do you want them to say? How do you want to be perceived? You're going to get the most direct, tactical tips and practical takeaways when it comes to networking. These two here are super important. You'll remember once the conversation starts.
I love the tips that she gave out. I hate networking with a passion, so I feel like I can go to a meeting or event and not feel so uncomfortable.
When you're going to a presentation, you want to be educated. You also want to be entertained.
She was really fun and really personable, and everything she was saying was just very relatable.
She's got a lot of great ideas.
That will make you stand out so fast.
She comes across as someone that likes what they do and just doesn't try to sell you something.
Activity breeds results. If you're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere.
Just made me want to start networking, which I never thought I'd say before.
A networking strategy that works for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, the business talk show. My name is Al Cini, and Dr. Jacalyn is right here on my right, and we're interviewing the John the Baptist of business. Now, I do want to point out that it didn't work out all that well for John the Baptist, the actual John the Baptist. but you know, I mean, in a way, a lot of what you're saying, Yermi, makes it feel like you're on a mission. It's almost like a religious or spiritual mission, and that comes through. And I do want to make a point for people who are listening and watching. If you are an owner of a business and when you come into your office, you're afraid to encounter your people and you go straight to your office and hide there, call Yermi. If you've got people who work for your company and they really don't spend any time at all talking up your company to their friends and the other people that they know, call Yermi. Because irresistibility is something that could be fun to achieve. And you'll certainly enjoy what you're doing a lot more when you get there. And so what? It takes 100 days. Like we said, if you'd started 99 days ago, you'd be there now.
Right.
I sense a song in there, an ad. Call Yermi. Yeah, can't you?
I think it sounds
a jingle.
Like we need music for that.
Yes.
Like
but, you know, I think Yermi, you and people like you out there that are reminding people. There was a guy, Viktor Frankl. Can't call him a guy. Viktor Frankl wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and he talked about how he survived the concentration camp experience as a child and how others survived by finding meaning even in those awful circumstances, because purpose and meaning are ultimately what pull you through all the bad times. Right. And I think companies that had that to begin with didn't have a problem with COVID.
Right. And it kind of feels like either you did some really good research about who I am, or you just really read me through and through. It's in fact Viktor Frankl's book that got me through the hardships of 2010 when my business was shut down. I went through three major life events in 2010. My wife at the time took away the kids and left me. My mom died, and my business all shut down. And all these three happened in 10 days. So on a Thursday, I get divorced. On the Thursday following, my mom dies. And on the Monday, my business is shut down. And with these three major things happening all in one shot, it was devastating. You know, I just completely fell apart. I was on what's called a tear for about 18 months or so. And then it was through therapy that I learned about Viktor Frankl, and I read his book. And to me, it was just mind-blowing. And I said, I have to find meaning and purpose in my life just to continue going. And that's how I found the volunteer opportunity in the prisons. People who have it way worse than what I do. And then it's when I was going to study psychology, and I was like, okay, I already have my foot in the door in the prisons. So let's try to apply everything I'm learning in the prisons. And one thing leads to another. After 8 years of working in the prison, and running these programs and doing all these things, and seeing the enormous success of people actually finding meaning. And I mean, across the board, I've worked with almost every form of, inmate that there is, those who were privileged to leave, those who will never end up leaving. And I've seen it across the board. If they have meaning and purpose, it doesn't matter where they are. Some of them that left, they became extremely successful. And those who are remaining in prison are still living meaningful lives. And that got me thinking, and I said, wow, like these people who have nothing to live for, all of a sudden have everything to live for. What about those who have everything to live for? These business professionals who are changing the world. I mean, why are you going to start a business for what, And everybody tells you, you're starting a business to solve problems. So in effect, you're making this world a better place. That's effectively what you're really doing. And if you don't highlight that, and if you don't get a bunch of people to really, stand behind you in this mission, then I don't know what you're in business for. Go work for somebody else. It's actually easier. And exactly what you're saying, COVID really brought that out. The pandemic really brought that out. And, and I tell people, those businesses who really survived, and if they're still thriving, it's because their employees and their team members and their partners in the business are screaming about how awesome they are. And it's the coolest thing ever to work in an environment where everybody is on board together. Everybody's blogging, everybody's talking on social media, everybody's doing, and when people see that everybody's in on it, people are just curious to know what is it that they're doing. What like wow, everybody's working so cohesively together. Like, what are they even selling? Like, what are they doing? And so the last thing I want to say about that is that nobody really cares about your experience, about your knowledge, about your skills, about your background, about any of that stuff. If you make them feel good, even if you have a lesser quality product or service, they'll want to do business with you because you simply make them feel better. And they're just going to be attracted to you. And that's what ultimately Irresistible is all about.
Even the big companies. I remember a couple of years ago, United Airlines, the Friendly Skies, was made famous for a while because they dragged a doctor off of a plane, and everybody, of course, has a cell phone with a camera in it, and they recorded that. They dragged the doctor off the plane for no particular reason. They grabbed him and dragged him off the plane. And then after that, for 3 or 4 months, the CEO of United Airlines would go on social media, on television shows, say how they apologize for it, say that's not us. There are 30,000 people that work for that guy, and not a single one of them said that's not us. He did all the apologizing. In an organization where people were connected with their purpose, every flight attendant would say, this is an aberration. It is not what we do. This is not who we are. And they would be defending the company instead of allowing the company to be pilloried that way. So even the big companies need this, and maybe especially the big ones do.
Right. And you know what? I want to actually highlight a big company, Virgin, for example. Everybody thinks that Richard Branson is literally the coolest guy. And whoever worked for him, they're all going to say, like, look at the stuff that he does. I mean, he's going to jump off a plane if he has to make like a statement for something, Yes. And everything they do, everything Virgin does is just on epic proportions. If you ever flew Virgin, you're gonna. It's such a different plane. It's just such a different experience, And it's also a massive company now. So I perhaps would not go and say that they're the most epic company, but I would still say that it's pretty epic. And a lot of the employees that I know who work for them have pretty good things to say about the company, and they're active on social media, and they do talk about this cool thing about going to the moon versus look at Elon Musk and look at Jeff Bezos, I don't see that much, news around them compared to, Virgin Galactic. So you're 100% right. It's really about getting everybody to sing your praises.
That heroic representation of the mission of a company in a way that kind of presents a role model to everybody and says, wouldn't you like to be a part of this? If there's anything we learned from the Pepsi generation going back a ways, it's that people buy from you and they want to work for you for the same reason, because they believe that'll make them a better version of themselves. So that better version of you that you're looking for, if you buy into that, whether you're hiring onto a company or whether you're buying their products, and Virgin and Apple, and there are a handful of companies that represent that every day. Disney, maybe not all the time, by the way, they all have their problems too. So, but it's just great that somebody's actually surfacing all that now and making a business out of it, because the 98% of the companies that fail because they don't do that, and they've got you, so you can help them with that.
I've got two comments. The first is, in my corporate career, I saw numerous times where a person on the team got so involved with the client's business and appreciated what the client was doing that they actually left the organization to go work for the client for the client. And a question I have for Yermi and also Al. Yermi, you had mentioned about the importance of social media, and Al, I know you post a lot on LinkedIn and you're always supporting other people. How can a business have social media be part of their irresistibility package, like the steps to become irresistible? How does social media fit in with that?
Sure. It's actually simple. Just go look at Zappos, go look at Trader Joe's, go look at a few companies that are killing it. And I mean killing it on social media and these kind of things. With Zappos, when Shay was their CEO, he had this thing of people could come and tour the Zappos headquarters. There's actually, in one of my books that I'm in the middle of publishing, there's a whole case study on one of the most incredible things that Zappos was so cool about, is that everybody was kind of on the same level, and their CEO actually allowed the customer service person to just offer for free, these tours and these, they were actually allowed to do whatever it took to make the customer happy. And there was one time when somebody tweeted to the CEO, but somebody in the company saw the tweet and knew that the CEO will not have enough time to respond fast enough. So that person responded on behalf of the CEO, saying, just for you to know, Tony Hsieh is a very busy guy. He would love to come. He will respond to you, but it's going to take him time. He's a busy guy. I'm just letting you know that we're on it, we're taking care of you and stuff like that. This was an initiative of somebody, I don't know even where in the company, decided to do on their own. And it's a brilliant, you could Google this. It's like a brilliant strategy to have in the business. And
it's a proof point.
Incredibly well.
It's a proof point. It proves what you're saying. And, that really, and it didn't happen at United, but it could happen in your company. I mean, there are people out there that have 30-person companies, 25-person companies, 2-people partnerships. Are you covering for each other? Are you both climbing the same mountain, or are you climbing 2 different mountains and fighting all the way up? And, I just think that is so important. It's critical.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Just one more thing. Just walk into any Trader Joe's. Literally walk into any Trader Joe's, if that's in your area, and just have a conversation with the cash register guy. Ask him about a product that exists in the store. That guy will know everything there is to know about that product that's in the freezer section, 3 sections away. And that's a cash register person. Just last week, I spoke to the cash register person. I do this all the time, like when I go to Trader Joe's, because I love them. And I asked them, hey, where are you up in your training? He goes, yeah, I just started my 3-month training, this, that. How long have you been working for the company? Oh, I'm here already 2 years. They have consistent skill building, leadership building, whatever it is, they're consistently learning. They're consistently becoming irresistible. I mean, Trader Joe's has blown me away on so many occasions. just how they treat their employees. It's brilliant. It's just pure brilliance.
And call Yermi, and your store could be like that too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yermi, what is the best way for people to reach you? We are running your banner with your email address, but for people in radio land who can't read it, what's the best way?
So YermiKurkus.com is my website. It's going through a revamp right now, but Yermi@YermiKurkus.com is my email. It's the easiest way to really reach me, or through bizfluenceapp.com or LinkedIn.com. I'm pretty active on both platforms. You can reach me anywhere over there. I'm relatively very quick to respond. But yeah, reach out through BizFluence, LinkedIn, or email. So whichever way works best for you.
Great having you on the program today, Yermi. Wonderful message. Great service. People really need to call you and get started. Irresistibility is just about 100 days away. Get started now.
Thank you. Yes.
And 99 days from now, you'll be an overnight success.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you again to Lunch Club for the introduction, and thank you to Al for introducing me to Lunch Club, and so on and so on and so on. So it's all beautiful.
Thank you, Al. You guys were awesome.
My pleasure, Yermi. Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I will say one thing about Virgin. I know we have to wrap, and you've got stuff to do. You're still in the air for another 22 hours. So, but I will say this: Richard Branson was quoted as saying that if you ever get an opportunity and you're not sure how to do it, just say yes and then learn as you're doing it, right? And because it's go kind of a guy. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I sure hope you don't find your pilots that way.
That's pretty funny. Well, speaking of pilots, onto a little more serious subject. I know you and I are going to be doing a show, but just for people who aren't aware, you found a photograph that has significant meaning and importance to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And then
I keep meaning to get it uploaded, and I'll do that. But I used to live in Lower Manhattan, about 3 blocks from the World Trade Center. I was there on September 11, 2001, and I have a photograph that I found on the terrace of my apartment at the time with a lot of other debris scattered around it. I have reason to believe that I know that it's from the World Trade Center 2, the South Tower. It's from the impact zone because this debris was blown onto my terrace from 3 blocks away, burned around the edges, and it's a photograph of a Japanese woman, and she's holding a child, and it's a professionally staged. Obviously, this photo was on somebody's desk, or I don't know. It was in somebody's life, and now it's in my life, and I want to give it back. So if you can go on LinkedIn and connect with me, or take a look at the article, and if you can offer any help at all, or have any ideas how I can find the family that owns this photograph, I'd really like to bring closure to it this year because it's the 20th anniversary. So thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for the chance to say that.
Thank you. I've also posted it on my LinkedIn, and we're going to have a show where you actually share the photograph with people. And
we will. We'll spend an hour talking about what the day was like. Maybe we'll find some other people that that experienced that. I don't want to say survived. I mean, it was an unusual experience for me, but I was never really in any danger. It was just I don't know. I mean, I'm a pretty talkative guy. Like to talk. For 3 or 4 months, you couldn't get a word out of me after that. It was just life-changing in a very strange way. And this photograph is a constant reminder of what those 6 months after 9/11 felt like, what they smelled like. And, I can tell you it was, it's something I hope nobody ever has to go through again, but I'd really like to find that family and give that picture back.
And we want to help you. So we'll definitely set up time to have a show for that.
Good.
Mr. Cini, I am scrolling your information, and I just would love to have you. You never know, somebody might have just tuned in. Tell us again about the work you're doing at BCAT.
Well, it's along the lines that Yermi was discussing. We developed a system that asks everybody in an organization to describe who they are when they're doing their best work on their best day. We gather all that information through an online survey and pull it back and map it and show it on a model so that everybody can see how their view of the purpose of their company might be a little different from everybody else's. when they can see how everybody else feels and what everybody else thinks, they can learn from that. We can close the gap and not just pull everybody closer together and closer to each other, but actually closer to the founder's mission, the reason why that company exists. And the whole process is very accelerated. There's some science behind it. And we get people to purpose very quickly. And then after that, we build programs that help people align themselves with that purpose by expressing that purpose as a role model. We call it a role target. And it's very rewarding work because people learn from each other. I mean, you don't go to a company to buy a culture. What we do is help people discover the culture that's buried somewhere in all the transactions and all the day-to-day and all the things they've forgotten their culture. And we help them remember what that is. And we give everybody a chance to participate in that process. And it's very rewarding work. So thanks for the chance to talk about that. You can reach me by email at al.cini@getbcat.com.
Thank you, Al. You get so passionate when you start talking about that. I love
it's important stuff. That's why.
It's important.
Listen to me. Listen to John the Baptist. Listen to Yermi. Listen to all of us.
I'm always listening to you, my friend. You have so much wisdom in there. A lot of gems, as our friend Ben Chai would say. So I will bid you adieu for now as I go sit down for a little while before our next show. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc.
Thank you. I just have one plug for myself, which is I would love for you to take a peek into my life in my book that was published May 22nd and became a bestseller on Amazon June the 4th. That's this year. Behind the Green Screen, How to Succeed in the Live Broadcasting Business. I'm happy to send you a free ebook. Also, if you email me, Jacalyn@drjacalyn.com. This book includes information about how I built this broadcasting platform in 5 months with the help of Mr. Cini and Chris Roberts and a few other coaches and consultants, but with no experience whatsoever. I started out on the radio, and that was just a phone and somebody at the radio station in New York. And then from there, we went to Zoom. And from Zoom, we went to StreamYard. And from StreamYard, we went from 1 show to 18 shows a week, and in less than a year. So you too can do it. But it's also some personal stories of what I went through in corporate America that I think will help people just get to know me better, and also give you an opportunity to align yourself with your purpose. I give you lessons at the end of each chapter that I hope you'll find helpful. All right, that's enough of my pitch for right now. We have coming up A Better You, lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. That's at 4:00, and our expert presenter today is Red O'Loughlin. 4 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 9 p.m. British Summer Time. Do join us for that. We'll see you again soon. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Yermi. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for your comments on social media. We appreciate it.